Good morning, all of you. So, as we know that in previous class we have discussed what is the transportation in plants, and as well coming to the animals, as we know, we have a transportation through only blood. So, if it comes to this blood, so what is blood? Yesterday I have taught you. What is blood? Define blood, anybody? What is blood? So, blood is a red color pigment, a red colored liquid which circulates throughout our body. Correct or not? Is it yes or no? And as we know
Yes,
that
sir.
this blood is red because it contains a red color pigment called as what?
RBC.
What?
Hemoglobin.
Hemoglobin, sir.
In where?
Hemoglobin.
In red cells. Correct or not? So that is why, and this is the major, this is the transport of everything forever in our human bodies or every animal. That is why it is connecting all the body parts inside our human bodies and every animal body. That is why we can say blood is called as what?
Connective tissue. Connective tissue.
Correct?
Connective
So
tissue.
that is why we have to study what is blood and what is the components of blood and all. If it comes to the main components of blood, as we know that we have a 4 components of blood. So that is what we are studying in the last class. So what is that called as?
Plasma, RBC,
RBC,
WBC.
WBC platelets.
So the blood majorly contains 4 components. So if you'll observe here, the first one is what?
Plasma.
Plasma.
Plasma. So plasma. Next one is called as RBC, red blood corpuscles. Next one is white blood corpuscles. And the next one is platelets.
Platelets.
So these are the 4 components. Now let us discuss one by one. So as we know that why the blood, even though it contains these many things, why it is has been in a red color means because each one drop of blood contains what? How many number of RBC red blood?
5 million of RBC.
Understand? So if we'll take a 5 million red cells in one drop of blood, so if you'll observe the micrograph which I have shown you in the last class, you may observe. We can see that how the blood is moving through a capillary tubes, means in the sense of through arteries or veins. So now let us discuss what is this plasma and what is this red blood cells and what is this white blood cells and as well as what is the platelets. So as we come to know that plasma is also we can call it as, what is another name of plasma?
Fluid matrix. Fluid matrix.
Matrix. That is what we have studied. Even blood is also called as fluid matrix. Why? The major percent of blood contains what? Fluid matrix. So let us discuss one by one what is the components of blood and what is the in detail. So as we know that blood is a liquid, or also I can call it as what? Fluid matrix, called as plasma with red blood cells. Next one, white blood cells and platelets which are floating in it. Correct or not? So that is why I can say blood means whom? Blood means actually plasma. So in this plasma, so many, like with red blood cells, white blood cells and platelets are just floating in it. So that is why we'll discuss one by one now. So let us come to the plasma. So you please tell me, what is plasma? Anybody? What do you know about the plasma? You may notice it in Corona time. You may see now. You may watch in Google. So plasma donors, plasma donators, like that you may heard. So what does it mean of this plasma? Please, anyone? What is the meaning of plasma? What do you know about the plasma? Please tell me. So just already I have taught you in last class. Plasma is a water. What is plasma? Plasma is a what? Liquid or solid or gas? Plasma is a what? Liquid part. That or not? It is a liquid part, or else I can say fluid part of blood. That is only we used to call it as plasma. Means if you consider the blood, it contains some liquid or fluid part. That is what we used to call as plasma. So now, what is the color of this plasma? Can you able to say? Is it a colorless or a red color or white color or something? What is this? What is
Colorless.
this? Plasma. If you speak, it is good. So plasma is a what? Arya, Dilipan, Nitish, Yalini.
Yellow to dark.
No. So please call the colorless. Very good, Taran. Please call
Colorless.
the and Dina and all. So let us comes to here. Plasma means, remember, plasma is the liquid part of blood. That is what we used to call as plasma. This plasma is a colorless liquid, which consists mainly of water with other many substances dissolved in it. That is what you have to remember. So the liquid part of blood, is called as what? Is called plasma. And this plasma is the understanding. It is a colorless substance. It is colorless substance and majorly contains water. And it contains what? It contains majorly water only. What contains? Water.
Water.
And other dissolved substances. That is what you have to remember. So many dissolved. Now, if you take this plasma, what is the percentage of water? Why it is fluid means, do you believe that if you take the plasma contains 90% of water. What is the percentage of water in plasma? 90%. That is why.
90.
So it also contains dissolved minerals, correct or not? So dissolved substances. So if you take that, in the dissolved substances like proteins, amino acids and all, this also will be. But majority of the plasma. So plasma means, so plasma is equals to 90% of what it is? 90% of water. Plus remaining percent it contains. Understand? Dissolved substances such as proteins, digested food, common salt, and even waste products like carbon dioxide and urea, which has been produced in our body. Like this it is. And even hormones also. If you take remaining whatever the blood is transporting from our food, digested food or proteins, everything, this plasma only. Just it is 10% it contains this, and remaining 90% it contains water. 90% water. That is what you have to write it. So 90% water and remaining also it contains what? Dissolved substances such as proteins,
carbohydrates,
digested food, hormones, waste materials like carbon dioxide and urea. Urea means which is produced in our body. Blood filtration, you can see dialysis not there means urea won't filter, like our urine through that is. So this is what the plasma. So plasma means you have to remember, plasma is what? Plasma is the liquid part of the blood. It is a colorless substance and it contains majorly water and dissolved substances also. And what is water percentage? It contains 90% of water. Along with that, proteins, the digested food, and even common salts, waste products like carbon dioxide and hormones. Now, this plasma is a liquid substance, correct or not? So it is a liquid substance of blood. So this plasma carries all these dissolved substances from one part to another part in the body. That is what we used to call it as. So that is the use of plasma. So whatever these dissolved substances you will take, understand? So what are the dissolved substances in plasma? Proteins, digested food, hormones, waste materials like urea, even carbon, understanding common salt, everything which has been carried from one place to one part to another part. So means from one part to another part has been transported throughout another part. This all the dissolved thing. Another part has been transported through plasma. Transport by plasma. So that is what we can say. Plasma is the liquid substance and the major component of blood. So, and if you take this plasma, inside this plasma only, if you take remaining, what are the remaining components of blood? What is that? RBC, WBC,
RBC platelet.
Platelets.
these all are like immersed. They are just immersed in this liquid. That is what we should call it as plasma. So if you take the plasma, plasma is the liquid. I can say that is why blood means plasma, plasma means blood. Because if you remove the WBC, RBC and platelets from this, then that is called as what? Plasma. So plasma is a substance where, understand, RBC, WBC and platelets are what is happening? They are immersed. Do you understand? They are immersed and floating inside. Do you understand? They are floating
sir.
inside. That is what we should call as plasma. So this is all about the things which you have to remember about plasma. Totally 5 points. What is that? First point, plasma is what? The liquid part of the blood is called
This
as
is part of the blood.
blood is called as
Plasma. Plasma.
And next one what?
Colorless substance.
Colorless substance. Pranita, are you understanding? It is a colorless substance, and the majority of this substance contains what? Water.
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 Dissolved
90% water.
and
90% is
plasma
water.
water percentage is 90, and also it contains dissolved substances like digested food,
Proteins.
hormones,
Just the food,
waste
proteins,
material
hormones,
like CO2,
waste materials,
Urea, common salt, etc.
common
all
pulse.
has been carried from one part to another part, means transported by plasma only. So this plasma, it is containing some immersed part, means inside some parts are floating inside. That is what we can say. They are immersed inside this plasma. That is what RBC, WBC, and
Platelets.
so this is what the first component of blood. So now I hope you understand well about the plasma. Correct or not, Ashika? Any doubt? Ask me. So
Yes,
now,
sir.
if
Yes,
platelet is over, if a plasma is over, what is the second one, Ra? RBC.
RBC.
So what is the
RBC.
form of
Red
RBC?
blood corpuscles.
Red blood
Corpuscles.
Understanding?
Red blood corpuscles.
Corpuscles, or you can take understanding. You can take now
Cell.
cells also. Both are correct. Understand? So red blood cells. Let us take red blood cells only because we are familiar with that, correct? So, but you remember corpuscles. Do you understand it? So red blood cells.
Yes, sir.
What we used to call it as RBC. So now you may observe carefully. Dina, Arya, Varshini is there. Arvind also is there. Akhil Arfan. Pranita, make a call to Jesse. So, okay, RBC. So, let us comes to the red blood cells. What is this red blood cells? Can anybody say? What is this red blood cells? Why they are red blood cells? And what is that? Why they are red blood cells? Why we used to call them as RBC? Can you able to say? Please. Anybody? So, let us discuss. Yeah, somebody is answering. So, Dina is saying the pigment which carries oxygen. It's not. I'm not asking what it carries, Dina. I'm asking that red blood cells. What is red blood cells means? Remember, red blood cells are the red in color. That's all. Nothing is there. The cells which are present red in color. That's all. So red in color. Why they are red in color? That is what it is matter. RBC are the red in color. That's all. RBC are the red in color substances. Red in color substance in part. Substance in blood. Why? Because why it is red? Because it contains what?
Hemoglobin.
Contains hemoglobin, a red pigment called as what?
Hemoglobin.
That is what I am expecting from you all. So because of why it is red in color, because the presence of a red pigment called as what is that called as? Hemoglobin.
Hemoglobin.
Because it contains a red pigment. That is what the name, red pigment. Name called as what, Pranav? Hemoglobin. Understanding? So that is what. So due to the hemoglobin only, the RBC looks like red, and even blood is also looks like red because each drop of blood contains how many hemoglobins? Means how many?
5 million.
5
million.
5
million hemoglobin.
So that is what red blood cells. Red blood cells are in red color due to the presence of what? Due to the presence of a red pigment.
Hemoglobin.
Pigment called
Which is
hemoglobin.
present inside them. So these red blood corpuscles or RBC, the function of this RBC, like as Dina said, they only carries off oxygen. What they will do? The red blood cells are
Carries
off oxygen. That is a major function of understanding red blood cells. So what is the functioning of red blood cells? RBC carries oxygen, means from the one part of the body to another part. Understand, oxygen has been transported or supplied through RBC only. So that is why we can say they are the carriers of oxygen. What we can say? They are the carriers
Carriers of oxygen.
carriers of oxygen, means who can carry oxygen is called as carriers of oxygen. So these red blood cells, they will bring the oxygen from where to where? They will carry the oxygen from where to where? Carry the oxygen from the lungs to the cells of the body, means they will carry the, understand, they will carry oxygen from where? Carry oxygen from lungs lungs to
all the
various
cells.
parts of the, understanding, various cells of the body. So that is what you have to remember. So each and every part of the body has been transported the oxygen by RBC only. So actually you can see it is not RBC is carrying the oxygen. Correct or not? We are saying that
Hemoglobin is carrying.
RBC is carrying the oxygen. They are the carriers of oxygen. But just because of RBC is just, it's not that simply carrying oxygen, because it contains a pigment actually that is called as what? Hemoglobin. So this hemoglobin which is present inside, the hemoglobin present in red blood cells which carries oxygen in the body. That is what you have to remember. So the RBC also what? Who is carrying oxygen? The actually who is carrying? So actually hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is the carrier of, hemoglobin is carrying oxygen, but it is contained, it is present in where? It is present in RBC. So that is
inside the RBC.
The RBC is the carriers of oxygen. Do you understand?
Oxygen.
So this hemoglobin only which is present inside this RBC, they will perform very important function of carrying oxygen from lungs to body. Correct or not? Suppose you see plasma. Plasma will carry so many dissolved substances, waste materials like CO2 and urea and hormones and common salt, digestive food, everything. But without oxygen, some major metabolic activity won't takes place in our body. What is that? Can you able to say? If there is no oxygen, what will happen?
Lactic acid will form.
No, if there is no acid, yes, lactic acid will form, but there is no acid. That is insufficient supply of oxygen. If there is no oxygen supply, then respiration, no breaking of food will take place. Very good.
Yes.
So no respiration will take place. If no respiration, what will happen? No releasing of energy. Correct or not? So if no releasing of energy, our body cannot be sustained. Correct or not? That is what important. So the major function has been carried by RBC only. Very important function in our body is carrying oxygen from lungs to the every tissues. So this hemoglobin is the major one or not only the one who can carry oxygen from lungs to the every tissue of the body. Now, is it only the supplying oxygen? No. Hemoglobin also brings some other material. What is that? Can anybody say? What is that? Oxygen is supplying to the tissues, means from the lungs to all the tissues, it has been carrying the oxygen. But the same way, reverse also it will bring something from tissues to. Can you able to bring, what is that?
Carbon dioxide, CO2.
Dioxide. Very good, Nitina. So CO2 which has been released is a waste product. Correct or not? It has been waste product produced. So major portion of, so you may say that sir, plasma is also carrying carbon dioxide. Yes, but I'm not saying that everything. So major portion of carbon dioxide will be bring back to the lungs by whom? Again who?
RBC.
Huh?
RBC.
So remember, here
RBC.
everybody will study the same thing. So as I have taught you before, plasma is carrying the waste products. What is the waste products, Ra? Waste products. What is the waste products?
Carbohydrate. Carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide.
Carbon dioxide and urea. Correct or not? Now, before class, I have taught you while I'm teaching the respiration in fish and respiration in plants. Carbon dioxide and oxygen. Who will dissolve more in liquid? Ra? I have taught you very important point. Who will dissolve more?
Carbon dioxide.
Carbon dioxide.
Tell me.
Carbon dioxide.
I'm saying that another function of RBC, or I can say hemoglobin is what? Will carries carbon dioxide
Carbon dioxide.
from tissues to
Tissues to
Tissues
lungs.
to lungs.
Lungs.
understand.
Lungs,
But you can observe here, sir, you are saying that carbon dioxide has been carried by lungs, means RBC, and as well as plasma, both. Then, who is bringing majority of the carbon dioxide? That is what my question. Can anybody say? Some of the carbon dioxide from the bodies to the lungs has been carried by plasma as well as red blood cells. Then, most of the carbon dioxide is carried by whom? From the, means in the sense of from the tissues to the lungs. Can anybody? So as we know that,
RBC.
what? Speak
RBC.
loudly.
Hemoglobin.
RBC,
Hemoglobin.
wrong. RBC, wrong. RBC means hemoglobin only. So observe very carefully. Hemoglobin or RBC is just a part of plasma, correct or not? Which are floating, which are immersed inside the plasma, correct or not? Yes or no? So they are
Yes, sir.
the major supply of oxygen. Hemoglobin or RBC will supply oxygen. Complete oxygen has been carried by, understanding, RBC only. But if it comes to the carbon dioxide, which has been released in a respiration process, you remember, carbon dioxide is, understanding, compared to the oxygen, carbon dioxide will dissolve, understanding, more amount in liquid state, in liquid. So for example, if we take liquid, what is the liquid contains here? What is the liquid contains here in the blood?
Water.
Plasma only.
Water.
So this
Plasma.
plasma majorly contains what? Plasma majorly contains what? 90% of it contains what?
Water.
Previous classes I have taught you, if you take the water, and if you send the oxygen and as well as carbon dioxide, and who will dissolve more faster and who will dissolve maximum?
Carbon dioxide.
Carbon dioxide.
Maximum, correct or not, compared to oxygen. That is what you have to understand here. So the majority of carbon dioxide will be reached to the lungs in the form of which state? In the form of dissolved state. Understanding, in the form of dissolved state. That is the most important thing. Dissolved state through where? By plasma. By plasma. So
Plasma.
everybody, this MCQ question will come. 90% children will keep RBC because they won't think that it has been this point. They don't know. Really, are you know that who is dissolving more in water? Really, people don't know, correct? Who is majorly oxygen or carbon dioxide? So that is what the important thing. So carbon dioxide, the dissolution rate of carbon dioxide is more in water. So as we know, water is present 90% in plasma. So that is why majority of the carbon dioxide, most important, keep note and you write it, right? Hemoglobin also carries some of the carbon dioxide from body tissues. That is what I have taught you here. You have to remember. So another function of RBC is what? It will also carries what? Carries CO2.
Carbon dioxide. From tissues to lungs.
To the lungs. Correct or not? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
No.
Yes,
But
sir.
here, keep note and you
Yes, sir.
write. Keep note and you write. Majority of majority of carbon dioxide. Note it down. Majority of all of you, those who join now also. Majority of oxygen. Majority of oxygen. Pranita, have you called to Jesse? Somebody called to Kevin. Right. majority of oxygen, all of you right? Majority of carbon dioxide is carried by plasma. Majority of carbon dioxide. Majority of carbon dioxide is carried by plasma. Is carried by plasma in the form of which? In dissolved state.
Dissolved state.
Dissolved understanding state. In dissolved state. In dissolved state. Plasma of blood. Plasma in dissolved state. Why? Because plasma contains what? Majority of plasma contains what?
90% water.
Percentage of water.
So that in water, carbon dioxide is more dissolved compared to what?
Oxygen.
Compared to oxygen. So that is why it will be happening. Do you understanding all of you? Any doubt, please ask me. Very, very important. MCQs, most important question. See, for example, till now 2 MCQs I am saying you very, very important. That is, you may ask your friends and you can verify. Which what I can say? Which hormone is active in acidic medium, which is in basic medium? Pepsin and trypsin, and as well as this question. Most of the people will get confused. So if you observe pepsin and trypsin, which is active in acidic medium, which is active in basic medium?
Pepsin. Pepsin in acidic medium. Sir, Pepsin in basic medium.
Basic medium.
Trypsin is in basic medium because it is active in alkali solutions. Means pH value is above 7. Correct or not?
Yes, sir.
That is, but
Sir.
so many people knows that both they will say that they are active in acidic medium only, but it is completely wrong. So you have to remember it. And if it comes to here also, carbon dioxide, because oxygen is carrying by water, hemoglobin, correct or not? Means RBC.
Yes,
so people will think that same way, carbon dioxide is also will bring by what? Hemoglobin only. So in MCQ, they will give hemoglobin plasma, means 4 options, white blood cells and platelets. Definitely they will choose what? Hemoglobin only. That is what you have to understand. But if somebody will prepare question paper, if carbon dioxide, suppose they will ask you like a give reason, who is carrying the majority of carbon dioxide, then what is the reason behind? So support your answer, they will say. So by that time, what you will do? Suppose you will say plasma. So what you will do? What is the answer? Give reason. What you people will say? Because what is the reason?
Plasma contains 90% of water, sir.
Plasma contains 90% of water.
Majority of plasma is water. So as we know that carbon dioxide is much dissolved in water compared to oxygen. So that is what you have to remember. So this is all about the red blood cells. So you have to remember everything. So red blood cells, we have 2 functions. What is that? One is major function and another one is not.
Carries oxygen.
Carbon dioxide. The major function of RBC is supplying of oxygen from lungs to
From lungs to tissues. Carbon dioxide from tissues.
And minor function. So it is having 2 functions. That is what you have to remember. That is what. Now, let us discuss this regarding the shape. As we know that plasma is a liquid substance. So we cannot say any particular shape. But inside it, RBC, WBC platelets are immersed inside. So if it comes to the RBC, the shape of the RBC is the red blood cells are in circular in shape. What is the shape of them? RBC is circular in shape. RBC are circular in shape. Please note it down. These all the points. If you have to explain about RBC, exam they will ask you define blood and explain briefly regarding understanding components of blood. That is what I am saying. So you have to note it down. So RBC, they are the circular in shape, and you remember red blood cells, they do not have any nuclei. What is that? They do not have any.
Nuclei.
Do not have nuclei. That is what you have to remember. So that does not contain any kind of nuclei. Means nucleus and other components of nucleus. That is what nucleus. So red blood cells are they are the circular in shape. That does not contain, they do not have any nuclei. You remember, these red blood cells have to be made very quickly because they do not live for very long period of time. Do you understand, Igra? All of you?
Yes, sir.
the formation of red blood cells in our body is very, very fast. Very fast because their lifetime is what? Lifetime of RBC. Lifetime of RBC. RBC is very short. Very short. So it is all about just how much, any guess, anybody? 1 day or 2 days, you guess at least. About how many days? Dina, Pranav, you have all studied currently. What is this? Then what you have, huh? About 4 months. How many days? About
4 months.
so each red blood cells lives for about 4 months. Most important thing for every general competitive exams and all, the life of RBC. So RBC is used to live. Each RBC is maximum it will live only how many months?
4 months.
So after 4 months, every RBC will die. Again, new formation. That is why for every day, millions of RBCs will form, and again millions of RBCs will die. That is what you have to remember. So the red blood cells they will form very quickly, and they're having they do not live for long time. Their life is very, very short, and they will die within the maximum life. What is the maximum life? Red blood cells have live about 4 months.
4 months.
What is the reason? So because all our teachers will teach, even my teacher also, when I'm in class 10th, one of my science sir, he has been taught me that what is RBC means. He said, like in Telugu, RBC means erraga means red in color, which contains a color pigment called as hemoglobin, which will carry oxygen and as well as carbon dioxide. And he said that the lifespan of RBC is very short. It is just 4 months it will run. Then immediately my mind is started asking, what is the reason behind? Now, not by the time. By the time, only whatever they will say, we have to follow it. But that's all. So now, immediately, as you are in advance now, you have to ask me, or else you have to question. You are saying that 4 months, sir. Then what is the reason behind it? Why they are dying? Why can't they live for a long period of time? Correct or not? Why they cannot live? Can anybody answer this question? Dina, Dilipan, Kevin, Karthikeyan, Nitish, anybody, Prasini, try to answer my question. What is the reason? So I am saying, sir, you are saying that RBC only live for 4 months. What is the reason behind? Any guess? Anybody? I will say. So you may observe here, before I have taught you 2 points. Have you noticed it? What is RBC? RBC is what? RBC are in circular in shape. Circular in shape.
Yes.
They do not have what? They do not have nuclei. That is the reason of dying of RBC, and the lifespan of RBC is very less. The only one reason for the short life of red blood cells is that they do not have nuclei. Please, all of you note it down. What is the reason behind it? Because
RBC do not have nuclei.
Do not have nuclei. Please, all of you note it down. Do not have no nuclei. So that is why their lifespan is very, very less. This is all about the RBC. Please ask me any doubt. Till here, any doubt? Ask me, anybody. Note it down. Yes? So now, that is the only reason. One reason for the short life of red blood cells is that they do not have nuclei. So you remember, if you estimate it, is just like estimated. It is estimated that about 3 million red blood cells of the human blood, understand, die per 1 day. 1 day. How many will die? Per 1 day, how many will die? 3 million. It is just estimation. More than that also will die, or maybe less than that also may die. So per 1 day, if you consider every day, 3 million red blood cells will die, and about 4 times that number are made in bone marrow every day. So what is the location of production of RBC? Location. Bone marrow. All of you should remember bone marrow. You may heard this one. Recently, some severe incidents need to change bone marrow like
Yes.
that. Have you heard it? Bone marrow is like a genes, understanding where everything, understanding that the production of and our species, our type of animal, type of thing, everything will be given by this bone marrow only. So in this bone marrow only, RBC has been produced. So like it is a producer of RBC about four times, understanding that the number are made in bone marrow every day. But about how many times? It is 3 million red blood cells of the human blood will die every day, and 4 times that number are made in the bone marrow every day. That is what you have to remember it. So per day, how many will die, Ra? Per day, how many will die?
3 million
So,
red blood cells.
3 million, understanding, 3 million bone marrow, 3 million RBC will die. For what? For every day. 4 times increases means around 12 million, 4 times more. I should not say exactly 12. That is why about 4 times more. About 4 times more has been produced by in where? About 4 times more. Understand that number are made in the bone marrow every day. That is why you can see when we donate the blood to save the life of a person, then the loss of blood from our body can be made up very quickly within a day. That is what you have to remember, because very, very fastly our bone marrow will be produced. Even though that is why you can see some fellows are donating blood monthly wise also. Have you noticed it? Each month means after reaching certain age, they will donate the blood even monthly basis also to save the life of others. Because of some reasons, maybe their blood may not form regularly. So to save their life, and they used to start donating the blood. But how they are sustaining? So within a day, millions of, like 4 millions of RBC is forming. So that is why the blood is forming very fastly in our body if we are taking proper food and all. So that is why even though you can donate the blood, we can made up of this blood very quickly within a day. So that is what you have to remember, because red blood cells are made very fast in our where? They are made very fast in where? Bone marrow. So they will ask you the one MCQ, where the RBC is produced, where the RBC cells are synthesized, where they have been produced, made from
Bone marrow.
that is
Bone
what
marrow.
So that is why you have to remember the most of the cells in blood are red blood cells, and it is having a major function of our metabolic activity called as respiration by carrying oxygen. That is why we can say RBC is the most important component of blood. Everything is important, but RBC is having major function of carrying oxygen. That is why it is having its own importance. And most of the cells like RBC, WBC and platelets, most of the blood contains what? Red blood cells only. That is why what? Majority of the blood is contains what? Red blood cells. That is why blood is looks like a what?
Red color.
Do you understand?
Color.
That is what you have to remember. All of you. You have any doubt, you ask me. Now, somebody you should speak. What you have studied regarding? What happened to red RBC? Then this red RBC will come with understanding our X-ray like waste products. It will be come out from our body. We don't know. We will not never notice it. Do you understand? Then it has one.